Hello, just me at the top of the episode to let you know a couple little bits. First off, this episode was recorded over the wonderful world of the internet, so there may be a couple of funny little audio glitches throughout it. Probably won't even notice it, but I thought I'd let you bloody well know beforehand. Also, not my podcast dog for once, but a podcast dog is on the episode again, so you might hear the beautiful King having a little chat in the background every now and again. And then secondly, just wanted to remind you, we got a Patreon. Patreon.com/won't be forgetting that pod. Genuinely helps support the show. If you can, chuck in a couple of bunks a month. A couple of bucks a month. It really does help the show run and operate. And there's exclusive content on there as well. A few extra bonus episodes, early announcements, ad-free episodes as well. So if you can, patreon.com/won't be forgetting that pod. Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments people have had whilst working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a couple of guests. The first one is a comedian, a writer, and an actor, Danielle Walker.
Hello.
And our second one is also a comedian, a writer, and an actor, Lauren Bonner.
Hello. Yes, we are sort of twins.
It's lovely. It's the first time as well, I'd give all these beautiful perverts a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, that two people have filled out the same form. So the little podcast form I send out beforehand. So there you go. A bit bloody cute.
It's pretty cute. I know. I thought, should we do it separately? But then I thought, no, because we were just together at the time because we were working on a little something that you can. I'm going to do a world first and plug off the bat.
Oh, please.
We're working on our Fresh Blood called Going Under. You can stream it now on the ABC's YouTube channel. Check that out. Pause this podcast right now. Go watch that. 15 minutes. Come on back. Nice to have you back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Yep.
You've just done my fucking job for me as well, Lauren. I'm going to be honest with you, because I was going to start off with giving you a little compliment about that. With this show, I do realise that people come on and they listen to all these wonderful guests that I have on, and all the wonderful guests kind of talk about the worst points in their career and make them sound like they're really bad at their jobs. So I usually like to start off the podcast with a bit of a compliment. So yes, Going Under, 3-parter just now. Have you got more coming as well?
Well, if we get through to the next stage, then we would get to make a pilot, but who knows if we will get to that stage. We are hoping, but there's also 10 teams, so you never know.
Is it 10, is it? Jesus.
10 teams, and I think 3 get pilots, so we will see.
We'll see.
What do people need to do to get you a pilot?
Probably.
I mean, I don't know, really.
Hunger strike?
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yep.
Like some kind of sit-in at Screen Australia if we all kind of went there and refused to leave.
Yeah,
I
nice.
think that would be a positive impression.
Arson.
If you're giving birth, if you can send us the umbilical cord and the stuff, then we could maybe use some stem cells to get to the rich and elite, right? Is that what they use?
I mean, I just take that regardless of whether I had a fresh blood pitch or not. But yeah, I would love some stem cells, if any. Oh, we got little barks going on again. Is that Danielle's dog again?
King? No.
That is Danielle's boyfriend,
Is it?
Jono.
Oh,
I think Jono's going to take him to... I'm going to go... Can you take him to the bedroom? Sorry, yeah, he's going to go be locked in the bedroom now because he loves to bark at the stairwell where the children in our apartment building hang out.
I would do the same as well if there were kids hanging out in my stairwell, so I'm there with King.
Oh, I mean, to be honest, I was kind of like him during lockdown. They would make too much noise. I'd go outside and be like, some people are trying to watch the block in here, okay?
Yeah. The disrespect.
Glad to see everyone had a meltdown during lockdown as well. Were you guys in Victoria for that?
No, I was Sydney. I'm Sydney always. I think, Dave, you were in Melbourne for a bit of it, at least.
Yeah, I was in for the first 2 Melbourne lockdowns, the really big ones. And then I moved to Sydney. And then that's when Sydney decided it was going to have its really big one. So
you got
I
both.
did all of them. And then I needed to go to Melbourne for some work. And I had to go to the Northern Territory to do the 2-week miners, stongers sort of quarantine camp thing.
Oh, that's right. They just like put you in a box.
Yeah, they really did put you in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the one that people tried to escape from 2 weeks prior, but then it was like, it seemed like something that was like, of course a tourist did that, because anybody who is from anywhere in a climate like that is going to be like, what are you going to do? You're going to die in 25 minutes from heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
You know?
Where would you go?
It's Darwin CBD, like 50 kilometers away.
I'd
I don't
rather
even
die
know,
in a
probably
box.
Yeah, leave me in the box. No offense to any of our Darwin fans out there.
Our 1.5 Darwin fans up there. Look, it's a beautiful place, but it's not got.
It is beautiful.
Not got the most going on.
Hope there's no crocs listening today.
I don't think anybody's upset thinking that the quarantine miners camp was a good place to be.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was there for a reason, and honestly, I wouldn't mind being in a quarantine miners camp for a couple of weeks just now. It sounds lovely in hindsight.
Now would be nice.
Yeah, right.
I could get some admin done. You know, shoot off those emails I've been meaning to send. Like, I really need to be captive to kind of get what I need to do. I could just do chin ups. I couldn't get it. I wouldn't do anything in 2 weeks. I'll be honest. I'll just lie down and watch TV.
Yeah, Lauren, the thing is, when you're in the miners' dongas and they don't have any good food, and it's not like the ones in the city where you can like order food. It's like Coles will come, but you have to order it 2 days in advance.
2 days.
So, yeah, but you could also do an order from Kmart. So I just feel like you would get gem art and puzzles, and you would be there not doing emails. You'd just be vibing doing your dot puzzle.
See, again, that sounds lovely. That's just a nice little holiday. Yeah. Just sweating it up in a box. You could nap. I would love a few naps up there.
Yeah, you know what? You'll be fine. And you got two pool sessions a week.
Oh, wow.
So you got to go swimming, yeah.
And that's 2 more than I have just now. This is perfect.
Yeah. Honestly, go for the retreat.
I'm just waiting for another COVID, honestly, so I can get back into some of these staying away at home. Was that up there for work as well? Were you shooting up there?
No, I just went up. I had to go to Melbourne for work. So at the time, Sydney was in the crazy lockdown. So to get there, I had to go via 2 weeks in the Northern Territory and then got to go there. But, you know, it was desperate times. So I was like, yeah, sure, I will go sit in a donga for 2 weeks to go work for 2 days.
Sort of something to do. At that point, it was like, it would have just been like, yeah, you know, I got the time. But it is, what a crazy time. It's hack to talk about COVID now. But I was thinking about this the other day. I've got nothing to add. I've got no unique perspective except for that was so random. That was truly so random. COVID.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, I think that's a perfect segue into the podcast then. What's COVID like, honestly? So usually with our guests, we have such a variety of people that come on the show, but I've got my go-to questions to start off with comedians and with actors. So I'd be remiss to ask if we don't have any specific stories from, well, both being comedians and actors as well. My go-to stuff with actors is always auditions, especially TV commercial auditions, because they are the worst fucking things in the world and so degrading and belittling for essentially nothing at the end of the day as well. And then with comedians, I always have to ask about all the friends you make during your open mic gigs and any of the oh my god, I blanked on the word now, but the ones where you get paid by large corporations to go and work at them.
Oh, corporates.
Corporates, yes. Thank you, Lauren. My brain is full of holes from stunt work, so thank you for that.
That's awesome. Corporate. Yeah, I mean, I know the word. I've never been booked for one. I don't think the energy I've ever projected on stage would lend itself to a corporate environment.
Off stage, you do seem very corporate. You are very admin savvy.
Well, you just said
to the point.
You just wanted to go away to send emails for 2 weeks, so I'm surprised you haven't been booked for any corporate gigs, to be honest.
Yeah, true. Hey, corporations, if you're listening, if you would, you know, like a shockingly funny, wickedly quick. No, absolutely not. I actually, though, there was once an inquiry to my agent about having me come and roast an office. Oh. And I was like, I'm always like, oh, you'd have to pay me so much money to do that. It's going to be terrible because they'll hate it. No one's going to have a good time. And I'm like, you have to pay me so much money. And then honestly, if anyone offers me like over like it's so, like $500 to do literally anything. I'm like, well, who am I to say no?
Yeah, I mean, Lauren, I think you technically have done corporates because, like, that dog thing, that's a corporate. Like, anything that's like, I think you're thinking corporate is like when you're getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars to go to a function, but also there is an entry level to corporates, and you've done some of those.
That is something actually, because that is the defining thing of corporates that you hear about from all of my, peers. Is that you get paid heaps of money, but it's really bad. I've done the ones where it's really bad and you don't get paid heaps of money as well.
Well, good on you for bucking the trends, honestly. And you know what? I've heard plenty of stories from friends of the show as well, where they've got paid very little money to perform in a cricket club to some disgusting old men and really rethink their career afterwards. So maybe it's not all that good or all that bad that you missed out on corporates.
Yeah.
But also...
Are footy clubs technically classified as corporates? I've realised that I'm confused. I guess they would be. If there's just regular gigs and corporates, footy clubs would fit in to the corporates. Oh, you would have done some bowls clubs, Bonbon.
I've done a million. And honestly, I've slayed them all. Are you kidding? A footy club? That's my crowd. The one corporate, actually, I remembered. Danielle, did I ever tell you about, I did a corporate Zoom gig during lockdown for
archaeologists?
Geologists,
sorry. I got it confused. Yes, I think, was it my boyfriend who organised that gig?
Probably.
Is he a geologist? Or just just Lauren's agent now?
He just used to work in the industry, sort of, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, he'd call me up when something at the bottom of the barrel came up for a few pieces of silver coins. He'd think, Lauren Bonner, that's the name that comes to mind.
When I think of geology and people that, I don't know, I don't want to generalize, but they don't seem like the most fun-loving people in the world.
Not really.
I've got no idea what geology is, really.
Rocks,
I mean, the study of rocks. I don't have heaps to say on it, but I did find a few of the rock-based jokes that I did for it.
Yeah.
So I thought I could do them for us, and then Danielle, if you had any corporate stories, you could very gladly take over. But so this is... But this is a bit of the... So I did just some normal gear, of course, but these are the rock-based things that I did for the gig that I wrote specifically.
Beautiful.
So comedians and geologists actually have more in common than you think. We are both intimately familiar with rock bottom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, no laugh. Okay.
Seb gave into peer
I'm so sorry. That was so condescending as well. I did not mean to sound that condescending when I did that.
Okay.
I'll edit in a much nicer laugh in post-production.
Please edit in a roar of applause from a crowd.
Oh, I'm going to have a 10-minute standing ovation, which will be really fucking hard to do in a podcast, but I'm going to do it.
People will be standing along with it. And the joke goes on, though, don't worry. So I say, you relate to words like sedimentary and stones. I relate to words like sedentary and stoned.
Very good.
I can see where we're going with these jokes.
You study faults in tectonic plates. My housemates say it's my fault we don't have any clean plates.
And would you say that this aligns with your regular vein of comedy?
Yeah, I think it's pretty spot on to what I'm normally doing.
Well, I'm impressed that you have this presumably just on the top of your head and you're not reading this off anywhere as well. So are we burning set material just now?
I know. I mean, it is bad to burn material in a podcast like this stuff, because now that I've said it on record, I won't be able to do it on a JFL set or something.
No, I don't think anyone's going to need to come to Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Pointless. If you guys have just listened to the past 5 minutes of this podcast, you don't need to go and see Lauren now. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't need to. You'll want to after hearing, especially this very last line. This is going to sell every single ticket I have available for the Melbourne Comedy Festival, which is over 30 to 40 tickets. That's the sizes of rooms that I play. It's you mine, I mime. Bit of visual comedy. Imagine I'm miming.
Oh, this is... I mean, anyone that's listening, which is everyone, you have really missed out.
Yeah.
I really want to think about... I assume that if somebody contacted, they were just sort of fielding for any comic who would come in for this. Yeah. And so I'm assuming that they assume that outside of this specific set for geology that you are a mime.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they wouldn't know whether or not I'm a true mime. Maybe they think, oh, she probably went to Goliath, Clown College.
You do give off the vibe.
I didn't want to say
I
it as well,
wish.
Danielle, but since you have, I would jump on board saying that too. But also, if you've gone in doing mime work and you open with stand-up, I feel like they've really lost money on you there as well. They hired you to be a mime and you've just gone and started telling stand-up. Thrown away the craft straight away.
On a
I mean,
Zoom.
I guess it would have been, hard to do mime on a Zoom. So you just have to try and evolve.
I mean, I think it's hard to do comedy on a Zoom. Call me controversial, but I don't think it's a good platform for a stand-up gig. And the way that we kept insisting on trying to do it is sickening. And that was the true pandemic, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did refuse to do gigs over Zoom unless it was like, if you went into a studio and there was like at least like the camera people and stuff and everybody was masked up, so at least you could get a bit of like a titter from the
live
7 people
stream.
there.
I did that. Yeah, I did that Twitch gig.
You weren't just doing it to your blank computer screen in your bedroom that you haven't left in 4 days. Yeah, not the best place for comedy, that one.
Comedy sounds horrible without laughter.
Yeah.
Because there's like these built-in pauses that where the laughs are before you can continue on. A lot of time, that's the end of a sentence, and then you can continue a train of thought on. It sounds horrible if you leave the pauses in and that you can't hear the laughter.
You're just doing an hour-long monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, though, the thing with that was it wasn't heaps of money or anything, but it was like $300 or something. And I was like, who am I to, I don't even have to leave my house. I don't have to leave my room. I just open my laptop, 12 minutes of my life, close the laptop, $300 or whatever it was. Oh. Come on. I was literally on Centrelink. I'm not turning down geology gigs. No one has to know.
I wouldn't turn it down now.
I'm talking about it. Yeah, I'd probably still have to do it now. I'd probably still go, God, who am I to say no? Just go on, put the webcam on, $300. I guess that's an argument for OnlyFans as well.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. And you can do mime work on there as well, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. To the same amount of applause as well, I reckon.
Probably more.
Sorry, Danielle, as well, I would be rude to ask, or not to ask, if you had any geology-based or rock-based jokes as well before we move on.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any geology or rock-based jokes because I did say
You're
no
pretty quick to judge
the
mine.
geology roasting gig. I was just like, I don't think my mental health can handle this right now.
I guess I'm kind of famously mentally well, and everyone knows that about me. And that's an air that I project into the world and into Zoom geology conferences.
And have you been booked back with them since COVID has parted ways?
No, they haven't asked me back.
Well, Geology Group, if you're listening, reach out. Yeah. Sorry, this isn't a call-in show as well, so I'm not going to wait for them to call. Sorry, yes. Did you have any corporate as well? That's me doing a little bit of accent work for you there. Sorry, corporate work. Daniela, do we want to move on to any of the prepared stories too?
Oh, I mean, I feel like, I did a corporate as like my 3rd ever gig. But when I say corporate, we're using corporate in the way that Lauren Bonner's just used corporate. It's sort of like you've been paid for a one-off random gig for business. And that was because a man saw me at my first gig in Townsville. There's not much comedy in Townsville.
Yep.
And then he happened to be friends with my dad and was also a connoisseur of the arts. He didn't know I was my dad's daughter until, I guess, after. And then he asked if I could do 15 minutes at his office Christmas party. And I said yes, because I was like, I'm going to get paid and get to do stage time, which is all, I wanted after my first gig. Yeah. And then I did not realize, when you first start comedy, you don't know that there are ways that a room can be good for comedy and a way that a room can be bad for comedy. And there are ways that a night should be structured and maybe you shouldn't just sort of arrive at a venue to be told that you have a mic attached to a wheelie mic that you're just going to wheel into the middle of a dance floor and then the man who's booked you will just sort of call everybody over and they'll stand around you in the round as you do your third gig.
I hate that.
Almost brand new material.
I hate it when it's like, nobody wants it. And it's like, no one wants to see this. And they're like, no, do it. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. They don't want to see it. Why are we doing like, let's just call it.
Christmas parties.
I tried to do that at a gig recently. I was like, no one wants this to happen. And they're like, no, it'll be good. Do it in the front bar. And I'm like, you're just interrupting people's good time sometimes.
But also, I think we can't discount that when you're new to comedy, we don't have the same feeling that we have now. It was, that feeling you were like, yes, this is it. I am grinding. I'm doing all the things you could possibly do. I love this. This is
always
life. And now
yes.
It is a very different thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Christmas parties are the fucking worst. Nobody wants entertainment there which they have to interact with. Nobody wants to have to pay attention to anything. I mean, standing in a circle of people doing comedy doesn't sound like the most ideal way of doing it regardless as well. But yeah, like, don't book that stuff for Christmas parties. It's insane. And it's nice as well that they want you. But it's also horrible because they've just made you feel bad.
Get a DJ.
The thing is, I think the Dunning-Kruger at the time was probably quite high. Like I didn't know how bad I was at the time. So I think I walked off being like, yeah, that was pretty good, I think. And then it's
pretty regular gig.
Looking back.
God, I'd love to see that. I'd love to be able to like go back and like see like.
I have a video of my first ever stand-up set if you do want to watch it sometime, Lauren Bonner.
Wow.
I'll try. And I've got a pretty early one of mine as well that we could watch if we wanted to trade.
Gotta let you know, I crushed it.
Yes.
It was, honestly, I loved it, but I spent so much longer writing the first set of stand-up than I've spent on any other bit of stand-up ever since, because the fear was so intense.
Well, that's good as well, because you hear a lot of people that go up and don't really put much effort into it, and I mean, they don't usually stick around for that long, but wow, those sets are, I mean, I love watching them, which is a horrible thing to say, but they are entertaining for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, yeah. To see, the ego of a man just crushed and like completely at a random bar on a Thursday night at an open mic, he kind of walks in a man, he leaves a shell. And that's the beauty of comedy. And that's my favorite part of it.
Might be mine as well, honestly. Just seeing a grown man flopping around on stage with 2 minutes of prepared material for a 5-minute open mic spot. And then all of his friends awkwardly try not to make eye contact with him. And then he's trying to convince you that he is funny. That is what pure art is, in my humble opinion.
I do love the idea. Like, Lauren, we were talking about it today when what people think is funny, as opposed to what is funny retold by a person on stage, is a very different thing.
I'd say don't do it as well for the most part. It very rarely works because a lot of it's inside jokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous when people tell you should do something that's happened in their lives on stage and you're like, I'm sorry, but what about that is funny?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's either mundane or horrific. And it's usually just my mum, my mum like taking a wrong turn when she's driving or something. And she goes, oh, don't put that in your comedy set. And I'm like, how would that become a joke?
Yeah.
Or it's something terrible and you think that would not become a joke.
Mum, I've already got 50 minutes of rock-based humour. I don't need this, thank you.
Yeah, actually, Laura, maybe your mum did like come in for the Zoom and see the geology stuff and was like, she could use any help here.
She was like, oh God, it's all geology based. It's yes, I'm playing my crowd.
Yeah, you find that niche and you just run with it. Mm-hmm. But we'll move on from all the rock-based humour, unless, of course, we do have any more coming up. Did we come in with any prepared stories as well? On the podcast, I usually like to ask people if they have groupings of them, so the addition stories always go quite nicely together. Early career as well. Otherwise, people just like to tell some of the bad ones and leave the absolute worst one till the end, which is my personal way, or personal favourite way of doing it as well. Did we come in with any prepared way that we might want to start with them, or have we got just whatever comes?
I have one that is just a horrible time.
Oh, love it. Mm-hmm. Love it. Do you want to save that one till the end, Danielle? I love leaving people on really sad stories, honestly. Unless, Lauren, do you have a worse time? Okay. Do you know what each other's stories are, actually?
I didn't tell you today because I didn't want you to hear it twice in a day.
Yeah.
So fair enough.
I didn't
hear it. I think Danielle has an idea of what one of mine is. But I mean, I don't, because I was trying to think about it too. And I mean, like, I've had terrible gigs, but none that were like terrible enough to be interesting, or like they were terrible enough, but like none that were interesting enough to, you know, like, I mean, I was just trying to running through the catalog of bombs, and like, in a nutshell, it's like, you know, I've done all the classic stuff of like, I was touring on regional area, and like we had to do a show to like 2 people in Mullumbimby. And, you know, and I think I've always put that as kind of a flag post in my career of, after that point, nothing really ever could hurt me, you know, like.
That's nice.
So
but very sad at the same time.
Yeah. But it's kind of like, you know, you can look at it positively. It's like, yeah, then after that, you know, I've had terrible gigs, but like, I've done 25 minutes of comedy to 2 people in Mullumbimby. Like, nothing can hurt me now, you know? Like, you can't touch that. Like, I'll be fine.
Lauren, I just feel like you are leaving out the fact that if you bomb to 2 people, those are only 2 people. The population size of the world, it's so small, it would be uncomfortable in the moment because you're just talking at people.
Yeah.
But the difference between that and imagine doing an arena and bombing an arena, that would be so much worse. I guess if you're a guest act.
I was going to say, that'd be impressive
person,
otherwise.
You've got the money.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
I've done, and the big ones hurt more, like, because then I was also thinking, and again, it's not a big story really, but I remember I was doing, like, the Comedy Store in Sydney the week of, like, the Louis C.K. allegations coming to light. And the day that all broke, there was just, like, a vibe in the air of the comedy universe. And I went on stage, and I didn't mention it, but I was still fairly new, and doing the Comedy Store is still a big deal. It's still nice to do. It's like one of the nicest big gigs you can regularly do. And I just did the biggest bomb ever, and just really, really ate shit. And I, you know, walked off stage, and I was leaving the gig, and I just like said to the guy that was working at the bar at the time, it like kind of jokingly, like you do, but also I know it's nothing to joke about, but I was like, oh, I'm going to kill myself now. And he believed me in that moment. He was like, don't do that. Hey. And I was like, no, I won't actually. And he was like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And I was like,
what a non-committal way of trying to stop you as well. Oh, maybe not.
Well, because, I mean, he probably thought I should have as well, you know. He wasn't going to go out of his way. He was like,
oh, come on, buddy.
Maybe.
It's fine.
If you could just give me 4 hours notice so I have time to book somebody else to fill a spot.
Yeah, it would really. I do actually. Okay, this is a question that I can throw out, that I've been throwing out to people. If you died, like, on the day of a gig, say it was, you know, a bigger gig, or like a comedy club, like the Comedy. So if you died, do you think they'd cancel the show that night, or do you think the show would go on? Because I think the show might go on, and that annoys me, because people would say it's what you would have wanted, but I want to say on record that it's not what I would have wanted. Cancel the show.
Not even if they do it like in respect of you, like in memoriam.
It's disrespectful.
Wow,
it's disrespectful. Okay, same day, cancel the show.
If it's like an hour before the show, cancel it. But if it's the morning of, they've got enough time to get it back together. They get a little bit of charity.
Over it.
They're like, we'll capitalize on this. This is perfect. But yeah,
I feel like it just depends on who else is booked on the lineup. And I know that you're having a funny hypothetical, Laura, but you know I have to take things very literally.
Yeah.
And it's like, if they were friends on the lineup with me, then they might be upset. So then they got to rebook too many people.
Yeah.
That's where it just becomes a logistical nightmare. Because then people might go, I don't know, they're probably not catching up. They do something in respect of me, which would just be chill out alone.
Yeah.
Have a bit of a cry. Yeah.
Independently.
Yes.
What you would have wanted.
No group gatherings. One-on-one hangs only.
Mm-hmm.
If you were
Walk
doing
in the bush.
an interstate guest spot, though, do you think that they'd cancel it, or they just go ahead?
I completely cut out then. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just saying if you were doing an interstate guest spot at this comedy show, and they weren't too, like, they liked you, they know who you are, they respect your work, but they're not calling you on a weekly basis.
Well, this depends, because I used to do comedy in Melbourne, so I know a lot of people in Melbourne, Sydney, but Brisbane, I don't know too many people. However, the audience would be heavily family-based, which then they might have to cancel because ticket sales would probably drop off.
Yeah.
Depends on the person as well. Like, I think I don't know if this is too grim. I'm sorry. I don't want this to be another.
No, trust me, this podcast, I like to say it's like 50% funny and comedy, and then like 50% life-alteringly sad with a lot of the stories as well. So I think we're hitting that 50-50 really well just now.
Probably depends on the vibe of the person. I think, if you were well-loved, they'd probably cancel it. But if you were, they'd go on. If
you were one of those real controversial ones, they'd maybe be like, oh yeah, that's fine. No great loss.
Yeah.
We'll keep going and just do a in memoriam, pretend like we're raising money for his family, but just keep it for ourselves.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. They were the bombs, and then I've got a big story about an overseas big job that I had. So I mean, I could do that, Danielle, now, or do you have bombs that you want to talk about?
Bombs.
Bombs are always like
some bombs.
They're a par for the course, right?
Yes, you have to bomb to get better.
Yep.
You also sometimes have bombs that maybe are your fault. You know?
Oh, I thought you were going to go the other way there. Say they're not your fault. It's the crowd. It's a weird vibe. It's not your bunch.
Oh, no, I love to overthink sometimes. And I did a show in Edinburgh for, like a year and a bit. I don't know when it was. Like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. I don't know, in August. It was some August.
Well, that sounds like Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh.
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, I just thought it would be like Melbourne, which I love doing Melbourne. You know, I just like, it's just one more week of Melbourne with no days off except for one day in the middle of. It'll be the same thing. And then I got there, and Lauren knows me. I did that show that I did in Edinburgh every night in the Gold Coast to finish the pokey den night. So I wheeled out a screen and then talked about my granddad, and it was weird, but I got the show good by doing it in terrible rooms. So it's like I can, not terrible, love different. The Gold Coast.
Yes.
But different.
But quick context is Danielle did a very personal, very moving, very funny show about her life and things like that. And before the festival in the lead up, you know, you'll often do a lot of gigs to test material. And some people wouldn't do like really personal kind of big show material in a shorter spot or in a pub or in a pokies room or in a, you know, behind a bar at the Gold Coast to random people. They'd just test the jokes and they'd save the personal stuff for a different audience. But Danielle said no. She wheeled out a television at a random bar in the Gold Coast and she said, "This is my granddad and this is his sock tan." And it was very brave, and it worked a lot of time. Sometimes people were confused, but that's to say,
fair enough.
She can do this stuff anywhere. She's bulletproof. She'll wheel the TV out no matter what. So if she had a hard time in Edinburgh, that's interesting.
I'd had a good time at all the festivals in Australia, and then I went to Edinburgh, and the first 2 weeks it was like great. I was having the best time ever, and the shows were going well, and like the shows were like pretty full or sold out. And then that day off, I don't think they should have the day off. I think you should just keep that momentum, just keep it going. Don't have a day off to ruminate or think, just keep it going. No day off. And then when we came back, that's when also the train strikes were happening. I think something was happening. There was bin strikes.
Oh, were you there for the bin year, were you?
Yes, the bin year, the rat plague happened.
Yes, again.
There was rats everywhere, rubbish everywhere, horrible like vibe because of the rubbish everywhere. Yeah. And, you know, it's like extra carny vibes because there's food stores everywhere. So there is rats. I'm starting to freak out because of the plague. Scotland's been big with the plague history already.
We were real big with it a few hundred years ago. We were really trying to bring it back that year from what I heard.
Yeah, I was very stressed out. I don't like the idea of getting the plague. Sue me.
Fair
anyway,
enough.
I was stressed out, and then I also felt like my show was kind of personal about my family, and it's very specifically kind of about, my family, which I thought would be broadly relatable because you can zone in on little things. It doesn't have to be specific, whatever. Anyway, my family are very country people, and I'd got it in my head that they were so strange to English and Scottish people that they were like, you're crazy and your family's crazy. And then I did not like the idea of the crowd judging my family because I loved them so much. I didn't like the idea of like having them judged. And so then I sort of like did this thing where, you know how you can make your eyes like glaze over so you can't actually see what's happening, but you can like, and so I just did that. I sort of glazed my eyes over, made them blurry. You can do that, right?
Yeah.
You
can just choose to not focus your eyes.
Yeah, you make them unfocused. And I was doing that so I didn't have to like see them judge my family, even though I cannot state how much that the shows were going good.
Yeah. But
this was so just in my head.
Yeah, that you wanted to dissociate completely from them.
That's also the latter part of the Edinburgh Fringe. It gets to you, man. It's there. You've got the rat plague going on. You've lost your mind. You're sleeping on a couch a lot of the time. You're like subsiding off fried kebabs.
It was so crazy. But then at the second last night or something, me and some friends got a beer, and one of my friends had come to the show and he was talking about it, and he was like, that was really good. But what happened to your, like, what happened to your, what was going on with your eyes? Are you like, what was going? And then I realized that I was making my eyes go blurry, which made my eyes look vague and distant from the crowd. And therefore they were kind of concerned about me. So they were laughing and having a nice time, but they were also like kind of a bit worried about me. And it's getting more towards the personal bit of the show. And I realized that I'd caused my own fiasco. And if I had have just stayed present in the moment and not try and put a brick wall up by blurring my eyes.
Literally blinding yourself.
Yeah, it would have been fine. I could have just continued to have a nice run like I had at the start. And I think we should ban days off. I think work every day of your life, never have a moment to think alone in your own head or ponder.
That's it, isn't it? Because you start getting inside your own head, especially Edinburgh, man.
Yeah.
Edinburgh gets to you. I've done, I went to acting school in Edinburgh, so I've done the Edinburgh Fringe a few times as well. And I was lucky enough to live there, and I still lost my mind. So, I feel so bad for everyone that goes over there and spends $12,000 to get there and then feels like they have to make themselves go blind so they can not interact with an audience who may or may not be judging you, but probably not judging you, but also Scottish and English people just always look like they're judging you anyway.
Yeah, I think they were just having a nice time listening to something so outside of their things that they're used to.
Yep.
As well. And then I decided to go crazy a bit. And they were like, okay.
It's still quite impressive that you're getting laughs when people thought you were maybe having a stroke.
That's true. That is true. I guess maybe at the end, because I read a thing out at the end of it, that maybe they were like, oh, she's reading, so it must be fine. She's still pressing buttons on the slides. Okay, so we're back to reality. She's engaging with us now that she's looking at this piece of paper.
Okay.
Good.
So they weren't that concerned. It's again like that guy that you said you were going to kill yourself to, Lauren. They were like, oh, maybe she's having a stroke. She's fine.
Maybe.
I got another show in an hour.
Best.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
She'll be all right.
That's fine. There's plenty more performers in the Fringe. Someone else fill this spot.
Yeah. Well, it was a good show. It's a good one to go out on, It's nice.
Yeah, it was nice. It was just nice to have a nice night out, honestly. Yeah, I don't know if she survived or not, but yeah, it was lovely.
That is rough.
That is. And again, we've had so many Edinburgh Fringe stories as well. It's such a beautiful festival, but it takes a lot from people. And
I've heard such harrowing things. I've not been over myself personally. I will I require like a few years of like mental and self-development to kind of build up the resilience that I might need to ever go. I need to go to like an ashram for a year. I need to like eat, pray, love before I could take it on. It'd be like a training montage, Rocky style, but with, CBT therapy. basically, for me
Self-care.
to take on the yeah. I'm in a bubble bath reading Freud. I'm doing EMDR, trauma therapy. I'm saving so much money. I'm winning the lottery.
Yes.
And then maybe
go over there to sell 12 tickets in the what you find out is the front of somebody's house that you can't get a refund for, and then some nights they just have to close it because they want to go to bed early.
Oh, yeah, and you've got to get some prescription asthma puffer because you're going to be in a moldy, mildewy dungeon.
Yes, as
it's
well.
Just everything. It seems tailor-made to break me personally as well. And then they're like, oh, and it's, by the way, it's really hard to get vegetables. And I'm like, that's my thing. I'm a vegetarian. I'm a foodie.
Oh.
I need it.
You'll get them no problem. They'll just be deep fried in about 4 layers of batter, and the vegetables may or may not have been from the previous year's harvest as well. But you'll be fine. You'll have plenty to eat. You won't feel good about it, and you may or may not gain 12 kilograms, but you'll be fine.
My boyfriend bought an air fryer when we were over there so that we could cook something.
You were sick and tired of chip shops and crepe fans?
Yes. Why is everything? We spent so much money going to this place called the Chop House because it was the only place that had like fresh vegetables.
Oh, okay. The Chop House.
But it was really expensive.
Yeah, that's
called the Chop House.
That's how they get you. Is they'll charge you, I don't know, like £20 for a plate of vegetables, and you're like, oh, it's £4 for a deep fried pizza. Might as well just have the pizza.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? I know what I would do. Deep fried pizza.
That's what I did every day for my lunch in high school, so I wouldn't recommend it.
Deep fried pizza?
Yeah, did you never have that whilst you were there?
Wait, do you mean battered pizza? The pizza's been battered and then...
Just deep fried. So
okay, thank God.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wouldn't put it past...
us disgusting human beings.
You and your people to do that.
That is our culture. Thank you very much. We do batter everything else. I'm sure you could batter a pizza. I'm sure it's out there. So please, any angry Scottish listeners, my apologies if I've upset you.
Sounds kind of awesome.
It sounds
I'm hungry. I haven't had dinner yet.
A lot.
Sorry,
me
anything
neither.
Sounds good.
Sorry, we can move it on. I'm fucking cutting into everyone's dinner time just now as well. Lauren, were you going to tell us about a little TV show that maybe didn't go ahead?
Yeah. Oh well, we will see. We shall see.
No spoilers here. My apologies.
Somewhat. I mean, that's part of everything in the nightmare. But no, I had an amazing opportunity out of nowhere. I'd also. That's the true harrowing thing that you'll never forget about this business is just the highs and lows and how random everything is and like. Oh. I was in the middle of the worst career moment ever. Everything had been fucked. I had the worst time. I wasn't getting any work. Nothing was happening. I'd, left my management. I got a job at Bunnings. And then I got an email out of nowhere, which was like, do an audition for this big new American TV show. And I was like, yeah. And you never get the audition. You do the self-tape and I never get it. And then I got it. And I was like, which is so random,
massive.
Like yeah,
that's insane.
It was genuinely insane. And I mean, it's like, I won't say what it's called because it's not out yet and it will hopefully still come out.
Okay, but, cool. That was going to be one of my questions.
It got a bit fucked and delayed with the strikes and then Disney went crazy and they're selling it. So that's all news that you can read on the internet. That is public information.
Yep.
They're selling it. And I don't know anything really, but I think it is going to be okay. And that's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough.
On that.
Yes.
But it was overall an amazing experience and stuff. So basically then I was like, okay, I think I've booked this job. And then I literally didn't have plane tickets until the day before I was leaving. That's, how last minute everything is.
That's so stressful.
And so I flew to Argentina to shoot this show. And broadly it went well. So this isn't a crazy bad story or anything. And it was amazing and lovely. But one thing that I think was pretty scary about it was I booked the job and they knew I was a comedian. And they knew that I wasn't a heaps experienced actor and I was fine with that. And I was a bit worried about that, but it was all right. And then the last line of an email from the showrunner was, by the way, haha, do you dance? You have to do the tango. And I was like, oh, I'm not a dancer, actually. And she was like, you'll be fine. You'll have a lesson. And then and I was like, okay, I guess if we all have to do it, it'll be fine. And then I had and she was like, oh, but by the way, your character has to actually be really good at it. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
This is also not in the same conversation because they mentioned it to Lauren, and then you said to me, you were like, yeah, I think I got to do the tango. I assume they'll just sort of shoot it from the waist up, and I'll just sort of move
I was
about, and
movie
it'll be
magic.
fine.
Yeah. You get a double in, you get an actual dancer in. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. And then next minute before I leave, I have a Zoom call with two quite stern traditional Argentine tango dancers who are a husband and wife pair.
Terrifying.
And they show me some things, and I was like, okay, I think this will be fine. And then I get there, and we've got to start a few weeks of tango lessons, and it was with these, and they were really nice, but they were very traditional.
Yep.
And I'm with my co-stars who were also not dancers technically.
Yep.
But they're freaking LA people. So they're oh no, I'm not a dancer technically, but they are they're just models, actors, beautiful people who can move.
They're the worst. I mean, I'm sure they were lovely as well, but those LA people, man, how dare they?
How can you not be lovely if you're really rich and beautiful?
Yeah,
I know.
It made it worse. It made it worse how nice they were. I was like, these people. I sent people photos of them as I met them. I was, these are my new friends, and I'm like, are you looking at the sky? Is he real? It's the hottest man I've ever seen in my life. Guess what? He's really nice.
These were the messages.
I'm not surprised. I get sometimes on set, I just get flabbergasted, and I just stand and stare at people, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I did that last year, maybe.
It's so weird.
I just stood and stared at Zac Efron for a while, and then he was like, oh, why is this guy staring at me? And I was like, oh shit, sorry. Just
yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
because of everything going on, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were all a bit better than me. I was the worst. And these tango dance teachers, they were just very honest. And they were very worried about me. They're always looking at me, shaking their heads.
Oh.
And I thought, I don't know if I am going to be able to do this. I had a big tango scene. And it's kind of an uplifting ending, because what then happened was they brought in, so I had to do this scene with a dance partner who was obviously a professional dancer. And they brought in this guy, and he was really hot, and something in me clicked. And when led by Jose, I could tango.
Wow. What a talented man, Jose. Hot,
incredibly talented.
Genuinely.
Hot. He led, he made the thing happen. And then the traditional tango teachers, they were flabbergasted. They were shaking their heads. And I was going, you didn't think I could do it? And they were like, no, we didn't. We didn't think you could do it.
Isn't that nice from them as well? It's always nice proving mean people wrong.
Yeah, vote of confidence. And yes, when Jose lifted me, he did seem to strain a little bit more than when he lifted his other dance partners that I saw. Kind of strange. And then even at one point, because from all the lifts on my side, I had this, I thought I'd hurt my rib or something, and it was a sharp pain. And I asked my mum, I was like, what do you think this is about, this sharp pain on my side? I think it's just from tango. It might just be from being lifted at the waist. And she was like, maybe it's your ovary. Maybe you're ovulating harder than normal because of all this intimate dancing you're doing.
Is that a thing? I don't mean to sound ignorant here. My apologies. But is that no?
You can ovulate so hard it hurts.
In your side as well.
I don't think it's medically actually real, but I want to believe that is what happened, because that's really funny.
Well, when this show does come out, anyone that's listening that likes to update things on IMDb, you can actually just chuck that in there as one of the little fun facts on IMDb. So there you go. Yeah. Lauren ovulated so painfully she had to call her mother.
Yeah. So fun fact about this, it's when she was shooting this scene, there was actually a mega ovulation occurring at the time. due to prolonged eye contact with professional dancer Jose. So that's my story. And look, I know it's actually, it's not a harrowing story. It was just an interesting one, tied up in a humble brag, tied up in a
big IVF might get rid of this podcast and everything ever if it turns out the answer to fertility is just Jose.
Yeah. I'd be happy for him. He deserves the world. I'd love for him to be able to tour around and dance with infertility challenged women everywhere to give them hope.
Well, fuck, if Channel 9, if you're listening just now, I reckon that's your new reality TV show.
We've got it. We've got the pitch. I own the IP. Let's go. Executive producer, I'm ready to fill in those shoes.
I feel like we could have a shared IP on that one, right? We all came up with that idea.
All right.
Good, right. That's legally binding. Anyone listening, lawyers, if this is getting played in court, all right, that's legally binding.
Thank you.
Hello. Now, before we get into our next story, I've got to tell you the main reason why I'm able to fumble through my awkward and embarrassing day-to-day occasions. Coffee. Now, fortunately for myself and all of the listeners, we have paired with one of Melbourne's best coffee companies, Coffee on Q, a coffee worth talking about. Get ready to caffeinate yourself through your next awkward moment with Coffee on Q's signature Elevate blend. Crafted in-house with precision, each sip delivers delightful flavour notes of strawberry, chocolate and marmalade. And here's the deal you won't want to miss. Coffee on Q is offering an exclusive discount to all our listeners. Simply use the code WBFT15 at checkout to enjoy an incredible 15% off all coffee purchases. That's right, WBFT15 is a key to savings, making sure you're properly awake to remember your next big embarrassing moment. Now, this code is valid for all coffee products, so make sure you stock up on your favourites. And the best part? You can use the code WBFT15 as many times as you like. So don't miss out on the opportunity to enjoy the finest coffee Melbourne has to offer. Simply visit Coffee on Q, and that's QCUE.com.au, and enter the discount code WBFT15 at checkout to unlock 15% off your next coffee order. That's WBFT15 at coffeeonq.com.au. Coffee on Q, where awkward moments pair perfectly with your daily cup. So Danielle, you said you had was it a really sad story that you wanted to finish on, or really distressing?
No, it was just like the worst series of events that just accidentally things get out of control.
Oh, perfect.
To a really annoying way. It was just.
This isn't just another humble brag, is it? About you being a really good dancer, dancing with some really attractive guy on a very
anything like that?
high budget American show.
It was just really hard for me when I got the role of a lifetime. It was so hard.
Flown to Argentina, honestly, which I've heard is awful.
It was so bad there.
Honestly, it is the role of a lifetime, isn't it? To not have to do a full lead role. So you kind of get to have the best of both worlds. Yeah. You get to be there, enjoy the place, and do the stuff.
I had an insane amount of downtime. It was pretty fun. It was pretty good. But again, it's also a strange country for food for me as a vegetarian. A lot of steak in Argentina.
Yep.
But no, you really can't complain. It was nice.
Did they have fried pizza there as well?
Not deep fried, but there was its own kind of pizza situation, which I'll recommend. Check out if you're in Argentina, get a Fugazeta pizza. I'm not saying that correctly. It's basically an onion pizza, but it is more onion on a pizza than you could ever imagine.
That would genuinely kill me. I am celiac and FODMAP, so I might die if I ate that. But yes.
Yeah, it would be really bad for you. If you look it up, you'll see what I mean. No, not even caramelized, just kind of shredded. And it's better than it sounds. But I like onion, so it's not for everyone. But it was pretty good.
Eating onion pizzas and dancing with Jose.
Yeah, poor Jose, honestly.
Maybe that's what the pain in your side was.
Whatever, hard day at work for him.
Couple of kilograms of onion and nice little dance.
just a big Australian girl full of onion pizza. Yeah, lift her up, by the way. Lift her up again. Lift her up again. Yeah, she's just the same as your normal dance partners, isn't she?
She knows exactly what she's doing, and she's not filled with onion and or pizza.
She weighs the same as Maria, okay? So why don't you act like it?
Yeah, Jose, I can
Big
get you
Australian
fired.
girl full of onion is a great thing to say.
Big Australian full of onion. That's my next show title, guys. Go check it out.
Good.
I was about to say, that's perfect. If you weren't going to use that, I was going to do that. Make my comedy debut. But
It says so much.
we have a story that's less I don't want to say happy than that one, Danielle, but a bit more of a series of unfortunate events.
Oh, it was just like okay, so I said I moved to Melbourne to do comedy. I was still very new. I said yes to a gig because I said yes to every gig.
Yep.
And I didn't know how far away this gig was when I said yes to it. So, because it was going to pay $50 for like 10 minutes, I assumed, and nobody had mentioned, they said where it was, but I didn't, I just assumed it was a suburb. I assumed Warrnambool was a suburb. I did not know it is like a 5-hour drive outside of Melbourne. And
I'll quickly jump in and say this industry we're in, where we're asking people to travel 5 hours for $50, it happens every day. I can't get over it. What's going on?
Insane. Did they at least offer to? Well, I mean, you obviously didn't know how far it was, so I don't know if you asked for petrol, but it would cost you more just to drive there.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a car.
Oh, perfect.
So I didn't. So I scabbed a lift. However, the lift on the way out was not good. Because the lift on the way out, I was with sort of like, you know, when you're starting comedy, you're starting and people, you're doing gigs that maybe people at the top won't do, you know?
Okay.
So you may be in the car with a bunch of random people, some people who maybe you wouldn't hang out with in real regular life, you know?
I think you can probably get rid of the maybe there, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the car with like, I guess like a 45-year-old guy who maybe things aren't going so well for. And then I'm also in the car.
That's a lot of comedians. And that's, you know, and you're not worried about outing anyone by saying that because you're describing every comedian.
Everyone.
I'll jump in there as well, Lauren, and say that's a lot of actors as well. So a lot of 45-year-old men in the entertainment industry, not doing so hot.
Not doing so well.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe their kids are mad at them about something. All sorts of things that they could have fights about on speakerphone in your presence. That kind of thing.
Yes, that's great. Love it.
So he was driving, and then he picked up the other guy we were going to drive out with, who I would say was 22 years old and had recently gone through. His fiance had broken up with him, and
wow.
So for 5 hours, I just listened to the saddest conversation I've ever heard. They're in the front. I'm sitting in the back. The 45-year-old guy who's driving, he's beside me in the back of the car is an empty 5-liter tub of ice cream. Like he's finished it and it's just sort of got the remnants of like the dairy that's sort of like dried on and a spoon in it. Like he's gotten into the car to finish the tub. And it's been a few days since he's finished that tub. And I'm sitting in the back. And so I pretend to sleep for the whole drive because I'm like, I can't.
I would have done exactly the same. Yep.
Yeah, I can't be in this for 5 hours. Are you kidding me? This is crazy. And so I get there and then there is a bunch of other people who are on the gig and they've also driven from Melbourne. And there's another girl on the gig and she's there with her partner and I'm like, great. And she knows that I'm in the car she knows the other people. And
with
so
the
she
sad
offers,
boys. Yes.
Yeah, with the sad boys.
Yeah.
I'm in the sad boys car. And so she offers to drive me home, for me to come home with them to Melbourne. And I'm so excited to not be in the car with the sad boys for another 5 hours. I don't think I can fake 10 hours of sleeping, you know, in a day to get home to sleep more.
For $50 as well is so little. Like that's not even worth 2 hours of travel.
So little. And
It's
I'd
so
also
crazy.
My saving grace was that I was like, okay, at least like the gig's gonna be fine, and then you just get to go home. But then after the gig, I'd told the sad boys that I was gonna go home with fun girl and her boyfriend, and then they were like, we'll just go get dinner after around the corner. So then we go around the corner to this like pub after, and we get dinner, and I get a chicken parmigiana, and I start cutting it up, and then I bite into it, and I realize that the chicken is raw. And it's not been cooked fully through, and I've eaten a bit of raw chicken because, you know, you can hide it with the schnitzel.
There's a lot going on in the Parma, yeah.
Yeah. And then I've panicked, and and the girl's like, you can send it back and get another one. And I'm like, I actually don't want to eat anymore. And I don't want to send back. I'm fine. Let's just go.
I just want to leave this
when
place.
You guys are finished eating your dinner. Yeah, I don't want to eat more food from here. And I'm kind of worried about getting sick on the drive home. And so then we get in the car and we start driving home. And that's when I realized that this is a much better car to be in. However, the life admin skills, as everybody knows, of people in the arts is horrific.
Oh, the worst.
And it's so bad. So we are in the middle of nowhere, like 2 hours outside of Warrnambool, and we run out of fuel.
Oh, that's annoying. That's so avoidable. That's beyond.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
it's
almost
one
impressive.
Thing to ignore a check engine light. But for a big drive, actually, I'm saying all this. I did very recently nearly run out of fuel driving in the country to and from a wedding. But anyway, continue on. Yep, it could happen to anyone.
I mean, when you're driving to a place and back from place, you know, got to fuel up before I leave.
Yeah.
When you're not meandering about.
Yeah,
you know?
especially when it's a 5-hour drive, you're like, okay, this is probably going to take a tank. Like, it's not crazy to think that I should probably fill this up.
Yeah, no. But nobody, I guess that didn't cross their minds or anything. And then, so we're just broken down in the middle of actual bushland.
Oh, wonderful.
And then we have to walk. And, you know, the gig probably finished at 10. So this is probably 2 a.m. And then we're just walking through the scrubland trying to find a driveway along the road so that we can walk into the driveway to try and ask if somebody's got, you know, like a jerry can with some fuel. And I know what people in the country are like. Nobody wants to be awoken at 2 a.m. and they probably have dogs. So I'm kind of like a bit
you think you're going to get murdered. I grew up in the countryside as well. If anyone knocked on your door at that time, you're like, well, I'm not answering that and opening the back door for my dogs.
Yeah. And I mean the bush on the Princess Highway. The Princess Highway along the bush specifically, I don't know how far up that happened, but that is quite famously the hunting ground of Ivan Milat, the Princess Highway.
Was it? Was that where?
He was at what was it called? The Belanglo State Forest, but that was just all up along. That's the Princess Highway that runs all the way up to Sydney, basically. So, it's kind of a cursed road, a Wolf Creek scenario. And I mean, luckily, I wasn't there to say that out loud to everyone in the dark in the bush to remind them.
I just wanted the day to be over. I would have been happy for some. I would have just been like, "Thank God, there's an end to this."
And in any way possible.
Yeah, it would have been
because then
happy recourse at that point.
Well, we eventually got up a driveway and knocked on a door, and somebody had some fuel, but then we gave them because we wanted to be, well, actually, I didn't go up to the door. So I actually don't know fully what happened. What I do know is that I got asked if I would give them my $50.
Oh, no.
So that they could leave it under, and so we could steal this petrol canister and leave the money there so that it wouldn't feel like a bad thing, you know, to
Oh, so were they stealing it or were they?
Yes, I guess so. I didn't go into the property.
That's
they went
smart,
into the property, and,
honestly.
And I just was a bit like, I'm actually not. But they did take my $50 to be like, look, we'll ask him, we'll give him money. And then they arrived back with a jerry can minus my $50. And then, so I got paid no money and had the worst night of my life. But eventually I did get home, but at 6 a.m. Oh. And I was like, Sad Boys would have been a better car. And I couldn't believe that actually would have been a better option.
Mm. Especially with, why did they have to use your $50? It was their car that ran out of petrol.
Well, see, she did also leave her $50 as well. I think they just wanted to leave more.
$100. You know,
I know.
I wouldn't leave anything. I'd just ask nicely. They're country people.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Or
they
just
would help
rob
you
them.
out.
It's fine.
Because also, a jerry can's only going to hold like up to 15, 20 liters of petrol. That's less than $20 worth of fuel you're going to find.
Yeah, we still had to fuel up again. Like, we still had to fuel up as soon as we got to the petrol station. We were still, like, running on fumes. Like, there was a chance that we were going to have no fuel again, you know?
And you've given away all your $50 to the other house, so if you have to go and find someone else as well.
But I just remember just giving over my money because they asked to do the thing. And because I was just like, well, what am I going to say? No?
Can I present something to you that you might not have even thought of, but that could make this whole night even worse?
They stole my $50?
Yeah, they didn't give that person your $50. They took it.
I thought about that 2 minutes ago, but I'm hoping that did not happen.
Maybe.
Because that would be a crazy way to get $50 off somebody. And also, they could have just asked me to chip in for fuel.
It would, but if you want to talk about the kind of people who would do something crazy to get $50, you're talking about a stand-up comedian who would drive to Warrnambool for the gig.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. And by the sounds of things, I didn't think about this until Lauren brought it up. These two strangers just took you out to the middle of nowhere and robbed you.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess now, yeah. Yeah, I guess I did just get robbed.
That was the plan all along, because she was there, she was at the gig, and she's kind of fuming. She's like, man, I can't believe I drove all the way to Warrnambool for $50. And she's like, actually, I'd probably do it for $100. Where's $50? Where's $50 more in the pocket of this naive, wide-eyed girl from Townsville, just down in the big city, having a go of it?
But this is why I think you should just be honest, because I would have given her my $50 to not have to be in the other car and just drive home.
Yeah.
Like, I would have paid $50 to not be in the other car.
Which essentially you did.
Knife.
But
yeah,
you just did it in a very roundabout and much longer drive home way.
And a scarier way.
Much scarier.
Scary.
How long was the walk from the broken down car to the place where the other lady...
we were walking about for like 45 minutes.
That's in bushland with no traffic lights, no lamps, nothing. And presumably no houses as well, because that would be the first house you found?
Oh, no, there were a few driveways.
Okay.
Like, sort of like, I guess, like, apart. You know how they've got, like, the big driveways and then they're just, like, the reflectors on the road so you can, like, sort of see where they are. And, I mean, luckily there was some around.
I mean, luckily they didn't get shot or something. Like, it's the country. They have guns.
Yeah.
Or just falling down a ditch. Because some of those driveways are like 3 kilometers long down some of the most harrowing little like roads.
And they all say stuff that's like, beware of the dog.
Yep.
Trespassers will be shot, you know.
Yeah, we don't call 000.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All the cool signs that you can pick up at all your state fairs. I feel like we've really skipped over the gig as well, Danielle. How did the actual gig go?
Yeah, was the gig all right?
The gig went well. I was actually upset that one of the sad boys who usually bombs, he did well. And it actually bothered me because I just listened to him be insufferable in the car
for 5 hours.
And my saving grace was being like, well, at least he's going to bomb. And then he didn't. And the gig went well and we all just had a good gig.
I mean, that's nice, is it? Or would you prefer a bad gig so it just really rounds out the story?
Yeah, I think at the time I needed the gig to at least be like my life isn't falling apart. Retroactively now, the bad gig would have been way funnier and more to look back on and be like, that is fun.
Yeah.
But at the time I think I could have, if I didn't have that good gig, it would have been like the end of things.
That's fair enough, especially after the 5 hours in the car with the sad boys. Was it the young sad boy or ice cream sad boy that did the good gig as well?
Oh, they both did well.
Oh, did they? Okay.
They both did well, which was annoying because, neither, in my experience, had... But this is the thing in the country, sometimes gigs are a lot more accommodating because people are just excited that something's on. And so they are friendly crowds. And That's why I love the Gold Coast. It's not the country, but they've got a country mindset sometimes.
That's the real Australia, I think. The regions, those people out there. And they're the kinds of people we explore in our web series called Going Under, which you can stream now on the ABC TV YouTube app, 3 5-minute episodes. Like, subscribe, check it out, chuck a comment up there. That was so natural. I wasn't even going to plan to say that when I first get into that, but had to do it.
Lauren has been giving us the wave for the past 10 minutes, asking if she can jump in with that. But, like, genuinely very natural. I loved it. And all of that will be linked in the show notes as well, of course. Do you want to give people a bit of a rundown what it is, or just jump on there and you can fucking find out for yourselves?
Yeah, go and check it out. What do you think, Lauren? Do you think we should say something about it, or...
I don't know. I mean, we're both a bit brain dead because we've been working on it for so long, and now we're working on it at the moment. So I think it's like when you're like, do you want to say something about it? We're like, no. But it's fun. It's not, Danielle is not, playing Danielle Walker. It's characters. So it's, it's narrative driven. It's about family. It's, a lot of people I know have watched it have said, oh my God, that's just like my mum. Or like that kind of thing, but it's nice. I think it's nice. It's funny, and it's it has a lot of heart, and that's what we were hoping for.
The family dynamic's a little bit too close to home sometimes. I feel like I was like, that's a bit too real. Yeah, which is a good thing. That's a compliment. Yeah. Do you find that you just chucked a load of stuff in there, which you're like, I'm just going to use this in my comedy now. Thanks, family.
Oh. Yes, I think that we both have that same thing. Like, I want Lauren now to talk about her mum saying the ovary thing on stage, because that's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, for what we said at the start of the podcast about how when your mum does something really lame and she goes, don't put that in your comedy show, and you go, why would I ever do that? But then sometimes you write a whole 3-part web series that's kind of about funny things your mum has done. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. And they just don't know which bits are funny about themselves.
Yeah.
The parts they usually think are funny are the unfunny parts, and the stuff that they have no idea about as well is usually the funny parts. But I can only presume that part about the ovaries is going to be in episode 4 now, or in the pilot when it gets brought to the ABC too.
Yeah, it's got to come up. It's got to come up somewhere. So hopefully it's real, and we'll be onto some kind of beautiful natural medicine, and we will have provided an awesome new career worldwide for this fantastic dancer that I met. So stay tuned.
You can fly Jose over. I'm sure on an ABC budget that's within it as well.
Yeah.
Get him
and you
in
know
it.
I'm looking for an excuse to do that.
We can all.
I love my boyfriend. I'd like to say that on the record here today.
I actually edited that part in at the end. Lauren, after we finished recording, asked me to put that in.
Yeah, you got an AI voice to say it.
I did. It's funny. And none of this entire podcast wasn't real. I just stole everybody's identity. But thank you both so much again for coming on, especially with what's a pretty busy time just now with the writing. If people want to find you, apart from Going Under, of course, which we shall be linking in the show notes, so you have to go and watch it after listening to this now. It is actually legally required. But where can people find you both?
Do you want to go first, Lauren?
Oh, I was off. Okay. You can find me, Lauren Bonner, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever else. I'm at Lauren Y. Bonner. And I do things there, but also I'm a stand-up comedian mainly, and I am doing a show at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. So please do come around if you're in town. It's all linked on my socials or on the internet. You'll find it if you want to come. Work it out.
Beautiful. That'll be linked in the show notes as well for the Melbourne International Comedy Festival show. Is that the second half as well of the Comedy Fest?
Yeah, second half. Best half, I've often said.
Yes.
So yeah, second half of the festival. Just doing like 2-week run basically, and it should be fun.
Fuck yeah.
It will be. It'll be good.
It'll be fun, I say.
Yeah.
Really, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
It will be good. Yes.
And I'm at Danielle Walker Comedy on Instagram, which I did have to look up, which is why I sent Lauren there first. I don't know what my Twitter is, but I don't really use that. And I'm doing, I think, all the festivals around Australia with my new show, The Lady Upstairs, including Full Run at MICF. Please, if anybody would like to come, that I've got a bigger room this year and it is stressful. I guess if you don't know, you can look up Taskmaster Australia season 1
That's
or
right.
Gold Diggers on the ABC.
Oh, Gold Diggers, fantastic as well.
Things.
And yes, you both have a lot of namesakes as well, so make sure that it is Danielle Walker, comedian, and Lauren Y. Bonner as well. Otherwise, you'll be getting... Oh, what have you both got? You've got like a...
I've got a grains
chef
lady. She doesn't eat carbs.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, she is against all grains. That
Wow.
is her. Against all grains is her thing. She's against. And sometimes I get messages from farmers that are like, I don't. You're ruining the grain industry. Don't do stuff about that. You're
so
killing
funny.
farmers off. I know,
you
because
love
my target
farmers.
demographic is farmers. I know.
That's your main thing. And actually,
I love them.
Wow, that's crazy. It's always, the same name is the kind of the opposite, which is, but also mine is eerily similar to me, which Lauren Bonner is also a model who features heavily on the subreddit r small tits. So if you want to see some nude photos of Lauren Bonner, that is my body. That is my body.
That'll also be linked in the show notes as well for anyone that's interested.
She is not a big Australian girl full of onions.
No, she's not.
She's not.
And I am not either. I am supermodel Lauren Bonner.
Just ask Jose. Yes.
Ask him.
Yeah, we'll link him in the show notes as well. And then the same as every week, you can find Won't Be Forgetting That Pod across most of the social media platforms. We do have a Patreon as well, patreon.com/Won't Be Forgetting That Pod. If you can, rate, review, 5 stars, all that kind of stuff. As long as you rate it 5 stars, you can kind of write whatever you want in the reviews. Doesn't have to be nice, be weird, mean, creepy. Say how much onion that you can eat. But yes, once again, Going Under, go and watch it, like it, comment on it. Find Jose, send it to him. You still in touch with Jose, Lauren?
I mean, I have him on Instagram. I hope no one actually tracks him down and sends him any message. It would be weird.
Okay,
I have a
don't do that.
professional relationship with him. His English isn't awesome. He might be confused, but shout out to Jose. You're a great guy in a professional way. Thank you.
Yep, get in touch.
And you got her fertility back in order, so that's helpful.
Yeah, you got it back.
Too much, if anything. It's a problem now. It's out of control. Too fertile.
Thanks so much.
Yes, that was what an awful ending to a podcast. Thank you both so much, though. Cheers.
Wrap it up.